Okay, guys, this week we are talking about the wise men who came to visit Jesus after his birth. From King Herod's palace, you could see the long, dusty line of camels coming into Jerusalem. The riders, dressed in beautiful but dirty clothes, had traveled far. They were wise men, people who studied the stars. When they got off their camels, a crowd gathered around them. The wise men began asking, "Do you know where we can find the baby who has been born king?" But no matter where they turned, it was always the same answer. "What do you mean? Our king is named Herod, and he's a grown man." The wise men tried to explain that in their home far away, they had seen a star, a special star. It was the kind of star that only appears when a king has been born. That is why they were there, to find and honor the new king. At the back of the crowd, one of King Herod's servants was listening very carefully. When he heard the wise men ask about a new king, he ran off to tell King Herod. He knew the king wouldn't like this news. King Herod was as evil as the king of Egypt had been. He hated God's people. He hated God. So when Herod heard there might be a new king, one who might want to take away his crown, he came up with an evil plan. He decided he was going to kill this so-called king. When King Herod heard the news about a newborn king, he commanded, "Go look in the scrolls to see what they say about where this king will be born." Those who heard the command rushed to obey. One of the men brought out an old scroll of God's word and opened it. There was the answer. They took the scroll to Herod and said, "The king God promised will be born in the same place King David was born, not far away in Bethlehem." Once Herod knew what the Bible had foretold, he pretended to be nice and secretly invited the wise men to his palace. Making sure no one else was listening, Herod quietly asked the wise men, "Why are you here? What are you looking for?" The wise men replied, "O King Herod, we are looking for a newborn king. We thought he would be in Jerusalem at the royal palace, but we cannot find him." Herod lied to the wise men and said, "Please go find this new king. When you find him, come back and tell me. I want to worship him too." Of course, Herod wanted to find the new king so he could kill him. He hated the new king, but God's love for his son and his people was much stronger than Herod's hatred. The wise men left Herod's palace to search for the new king. As the wise men walked out, they had to pinch themselves. Were they seeing things? It was a special star again. "There it is," they cried. "It will show us the way to the new king." The wise men left Herod's palace and followed the star as it led them to the new king. Finally, it stopped, not over a king's palace, but over a small house. The wise men knocked on the door and went inside. There, in simple baby clothes, was the new king. The wise men knelt and said, "We have brought special gifts for the little child: gold, frankincense, and myrrh." These were expensive gifts and the kind of gifts given only to a king. By giving these gifts, the wise men were worshiping Jesus as king. That night, when the wise men went to sleep, God spoke to them in a dream. He said, "Do not go back to King Herod. He wants to kill the baby Jesus. Instead, go back to your own home. Don't let Herod find you." In the morning, they loaded their camels and headed home by a different road. After they left, an angel appeared to Joseph and also warned him of Herod's evil plan, saying, "Herod wants to kill Jesus. Take him and Mary and leave Israel. I will tell you when it is safe to return." God loved his son and protected him from Herod. God also loved his people, which is why he had sent Jesus, who would one day rescue them from their enemy. However, their true enemy wasn't an evil king like Herod. No, instead, Jesus the Messiah would rescue his people from their greatest enemy of all, the sin that kept them apart from God. And our Bible verse this week is, "We have seen his star and have come to worship him." Matthew 2:2.